So I thought I'd start the webinar by actually exploring the etymology of the word collaborate. And I love etymology, and etymology is basically the study of where words come from. And being almost 60, when I was at school in my teenage years, I studied both ancient Greek and also Latin. So that is where my passion for understanding words comes from. And this is continued throughout my life. And I think it has some real major benefits when we're in the work situation. So the word collaborate comes from the Latin collaborare, and that's formed from two words. So con means with, and then labor means work. So obviously the word labor is used throughout the world, and obviously you'll be aware of that in terms of its usage, certainly in the USA. So collaborare means simply to work with another, to work with somebody else. And this is one of the things that we have to do constantly in our working lives. We're either working with team members, our colleagues, or we're working with others that are outside of our team. So it could be suppliers, it could be clients, it could be stakeholders. So collaboration between people is really, really important in terms of teamwork. Now, as Susan mentioned, about 9 years ago, I created a model which is called Team Dynamics, which enables teams to measure 16 different areas of teamwork. And I just thought I'd share that with you so that you have an understanding of where collaboration fits within this model. So Team Dynamics essentially is a measurement tool where teams are able to measure 16 areas or elements of teamwork. And these 16 areas are vital in achieving high performance when you're working in teams. So there are what I call the red elements, which starting at the top, we have accountability, which is making sure that different people are accountable for different parts of a process or a workflow. Then we have decision making. So it's about clarity of who has got responsibility for making particular decisions. Then we have purpose. So what does your team exist to do? What does that enable, and what are the benefits? Purpose is closely aligned. If any of you have read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, the why element forms part of a purpose statement. And then finally, in the red categories, we have got vision, which is what your team aspires to achieve in the future. So purpose is very much about what you do here and now. Vision is what you aspire to achieve. And these are what I call strategic actions, because they are very much strategic and they are action orientated. Then we have what I call the blue categories. So we've got planning, top right. So it's really important that your team has plans and that those plans are working and they are updated as things change throughout a period of time. Then we have processes. What are the processes that you have in place within your team? So it's that route map to get you from A to B. Then reflection, which quite often teams don't do enough of. So it's about reflecting back on what you've done and having a look to see what is working well, and also importantly, what is not working well and what needs to change. And then finally, roles and skills. So who's got what roles in your team, and importantly, what are the skills that they bring to the team? And certainly skills has two aspects. It's about technical skills that people bring to the team, but also behavioral skills as well. So who are your verbal communicators? Who are those people that like to work very much in a quiet environment? Who are the people that are creative in your team? So it's really important understanding technical skills and behavioral skills of people. So these are what I call frameworks. They're frameworks, they're maps to enable you to get things done. And then this is where collaboration sits in the yellow categories. You'll see top right, collaboration. So as we said, that's working effectively with other people. Then we have communication. What's your communication like within your team? Is it effective? Does it work for everyone? Environment is about the working environment that you have, whether it's in the office or whether it's hybrid working. You know, is there a positivity to the working environment that you and your colleagues work together in? And then finally, the last element within this category is transformation. And transformation is all about looking at what things need to change in your team to become more effective. And these are called creative interactions. So they are creative because there's ideas that are generated to make things better, and interactions, they are interactions with people. And then last but not least, we have green elements, which starting top right is about commitment. How committed are people to your team and the success of your team? Diversity. Do people value diversity in all its shapes and forms? Then moving on to team meetings. How effective are your team meetings? Do they start and end on time? Do your meetings get valuable actions coming out of them that people then will take forward? And finally, trust, which trust to me has two elements to it. One is operational trust. So do you trust people to fill in their timesheets correctly, to log their overtime, to not take the stationery or the computers and use them personally? So that's what I call operational trust. And then there's appreciative trust, which is all about actually appreciating your colleagues for who they are, you know, warts and all, and allowing them to be who they are as an individual. And this is what I call coactive connections. Coactive means that they are working, and connections is about connecting with other people. Before I move on to the next slide, I see there's something in the chat bar, so I'm just going to check on that. Daryl, great, you like the diagram. Thanks very much for that, Daryl, much appreciated. Okay, so as Susan said, you know, I'm quite happy to take questions as we go through. I'll keep checking the chat to see if anybody else has got a question, and I'll stop and answer it at an appropriate moment in time. So that's the team dynamics model, and the definition that I've created in that model in terms of collaboration is simply a joint effort between individuals whereby the skills and knowledge of more than one person is required to achieve a common goal. And I think that's fairly straightforward and fairly clear. So it's sharing our skills, knowledge, expertise with other people in the team, so that as a team, we can achieve success and achieve the goals and the targets that our team have been set. Now, the reason why it's important, collaboration is important to get right, is because it will affect your effectiveness of your teamwork. So on the screen, I've got some examples of teams that use this model. And as you can see, the team at the top, they've got a team effectiveness of 89%. So that would be a team that's working really, really effectively. And you'll see some of the top elements, the things that are working well there. And because they've got a high score, collaboration will have been scored highly as well. Then we've got a team in the middle that is average. So you'll see that collaboration is still quite high there. However, overall, the 16 areas of teamwork, there are some that are going to be causing that team issues. And then finally, the team at the bottom, they've scored themselves at 58%. So that is below the bar. So we would say that this team is dysfunctional. And again, whilst collaboration is the 4th best score, it's still not scoring highly. So I thought that might give you an idea in terms of how important collaboration is. And again, based on this model, you will see that on the top, the level 1, this is where collaboration sits. So it shows the strength and importance of it. Those level 1 elements are based on my research, based on working with teams for many, many years, are the most important things in a team that you need to get right and working effectively. So you'll see there that we have purpose, trust, planning, and collaboration. These are what I call the foundations of high performance teamwork, because if these go wrong, then they will affect many, many different areas of teamwork in a negative way. So going back to the team dynamics report, again, just another example here. This team scored 56%, and that means that they're dysfunctional. And you can see there at the bottom that collaboration has only been scored at 48%. So there's something fundamentally going wrong with collaboration in this team. So you can see it both as a percentage score on the left and then as a graphic on the right hand side. So what are the benefits? I like to work in fours, so quite often you will see in a lot of my slides, in a lot of the literature that I share my knowledge and share with other people, I work in fours. The reason being is it's been worked out that our brains work most effectively when we work with 4 as a maximum of different things that we're looking at. So let's have a look at the benefits, the 4 benefits. So if collaboration is working effectively within your team, what are the 4 benefits? Well, the first one is it saves time and it increases productivity and helps one of the other areas of teamwork, which is transformation. So if you remember, transformation is about looking at how you can transform, how your team can do things more effectively, more efficiently. So therefore, it has an impact because it will save time. It will make sure that things that aren't working well will be more effective, and therefore they will be more productive. So collaboration, if you get it right, it does help transformation, because, as we said, collaboration is about sharing knowledge and experience. And therefore, if we can share our knowledge and experience with our colleagues, it's more likely that we're able to come up with some better ways of doing things as a team. It also helps to build trust between team members. So if, as a team member, you are prepared to openly share your knowledge and experience with your colleagues, you're likely to find that that will have a knock-on effect, that will have a ripple effect, that people will return the compliment, and therefore they will share their knowledge, they will share their experience with you and with other team members. And again, that knock-on effect of that is it will help to build trust between individuals. So another area of teamwork that it will impact on. Planning becomes more effective due to knowledge sharing and experience. No doubt within your teams, you've got many people who have got different backgrounds, different knowledge, different experience. So therefore, when we are planning what we need to do within our team, that knowledge, that sharing of experience is vital, because people are able to say, well, when I worked in this other team, or when I worked in this other industry sector, when we were planning things out, we did these sort of things, we did these things differently. So it could be that one of your team members, based on their experience, will share something that will add value to your team. So your planning processes become more effective. And then finally, it helps to promote a positive working environment. So if we share our knowledge with and skills with other people, those other people within your team will appreciate you, they will appreciate your skills, they will appreciate your knowledge and your experience, and also your behavioral style, the way that you do things and the way that you interact with other people. So it will make sure that your working environment actually is a positive one. So people become upbeat, they will become motivated, they will become inspired by the fact that everybody in the team is open to collaborating and sharing these wonderful skills and knowledge openly and honestly. So those are the 4 benefits of getting collaboration working effectively. And I think it's important we look at the benefits of things, but it's also important that we actually think about the red flags, things that may happen when collaboration is not working as effectively as it could be. So let's just have a look at these. So the first red flag is that individuals are reticent to share their knowledge and experience with others. So they will look at their knowledge and experience and they will see it as a competitive advantage that will benefit themselves rather than benefiting the team. And I just thought at this moment in time, I'd open up discussion. So please do use the chat box. Have you come across people in your teams or in previous teams where they haven't shared their knowledge openly with other colleagues, with other team members? So please do, if you've had experience of that, use the chat box and let's find out what's going on with teams or teams that you've worked with previously where people have been reticent to share their knowledge and experience. So if anybody would like to share that with others, please do put it in the chat box and let's share your experience with other people that are on the webinar. So I'll give people a couple of moments to use the chat box to put their thoughts in there. Okay, we've got some chats coming in. Yes, this is from Beth. Years ago, there was a co-worker who didn't share, and I lost respect for this person since their reticence was so obvious. This person felt they got power through their knowledge. I know, that's a great example, Beth, a fantastic example. It's as though they want to keep everything to themselves because they think that gives them power over other people. Yeah, so interesting. And again, it's interesting from a behavioral perspective that, as Beth has put there, you lost respect for that person. And of course, losing respect for people, as I mentioned, in terms of team effectiveness and teamwork, has a negative impact on trust. We become suspicious of those people that don't share their knowledge and experience, and therefore it has a negative impact on trust. Thank you ever so much for sharing that, Beth. Teresa, I had a boss who was like that, keeping everything to themselves. Not a management style that I agreed with. Again, wonderful there. Thank you for sharing that, Teresa. And we're right that there are even not just our colleagues, but certainly managers and leaders that do this. They like to keep this knowledge and experience to themselves because they think it gives them power over other people. And again, it's has a slightly bigger negative impact on teamwork when the boss does that. As Beth mentioned in hers, it was a co-worker, which, yes, that will have an impact, but even a greater impact where it's a leader or a manager or a boss that does this, because it has a ripple effect and has an impact on the whole of the team, not just a few. So again, thank you for sharing that, Teresa. Hyrule, and I don't know if I've pronounced your name right or wrong, but if I haven't, I do apologize. Yes, you've had many times, usually on my projects, there is always one that fits this flag, affects the team morale and commitment, definitely. Yes, so it has an impact on, as we said, trust, a negative impact on morale, which is about the environment the team works in, and also, you know, how committed people are to the team. So thank you again for sharing that. Okay, some good open conversations there going on, so thank you for sharing those in the chat. Let's go back and let's have a look at number 2. So if people don't collaborate effectively, changes to working practices are frequently implemented by individuals without consulting with others in the team. So this is basically where people go off and they do their own thing, sometimes with significant negative consequences. So again, let's open it up, the conversations in the chat box. Have you had situations where people in your team have changed things without actually discussing or consulting with others in the team? So they've thought, right, this is the way that we're going to do things. We're going to change things, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it without out collaborating or communicating these changes with other people. So again, if you've had any experience of that in your previous jobs, your previous roles, your previous organizations, or it's going on now, you know, let's be open and honest, and let's share those experiences with others that are on this Zoom webinar. Certainly, it's something that I've experienced over the years. I used to be an operational manager, and we did have one situation where one of my team changed some coding in a program without collaborating or communicating these changes with the rest of the team, and it ended up with some pretty dire consequences in terms of our financial accounting practices and our reporting. So yes, it can be a big cause for concern when people do that. Okay, there's nobody that has shared anything in the chat with that one, so let's move on to number 3. Quite often, if a person doesn't share that they're going to change things with the rest of the team, so they keep it to themselves and they don't collaborate with the rest of the team, we often find that these changes that are implemented regularly go wrong. So again, if anybody's had experience of situations like that where changes have been implemented by one person because they haven't shared their knowledge and experience, and all of a sudden it might have an impact on some of the other processes that you're accountable for. So if anybody's had any experience of that, again, please use the chat to share it. Okay, nobody's sharing at the moment on there, so let's move on to the 4th one. And the 4th one is comes up time and time again. My way is the best and only way culture exists. So when people are reticent to collaborate and share their knowledge and experience, we get this situation where people think that their way is the best way and the only way, and therefore will just do their own thing. Has anybody had any experience of that in your teams? We've got individuals that will just do things their own way, even though they are fully aware that there are rules, regulations, procedures that they should be adhering to. But they don't want to collaborate. They just want to get on and do what they think is best. So certainly we've got somebody in the chat there. Yeah, this is Beth again. Thank you, Beth. Yes, and encountering the my way is the only way and best makes me want to run. Yeah, again, it has some big impacts on the effectiveness of teamwork, and it have a ripple effect out on other people. So yeah, it makes Beth want to run away. I quite understand that. Teresa, indeed, same manager, thought he knew other teams' job better than they did themselves. That is a shocking state of affairs, Teresa, and certainly it's one that has been shared with me by some of the teams that I've worked with. You get that team manager that thinks, yeah, my way is the best way, and they think they know more than the team members. So they don't value their skills, their knowledge and experience. Yeah, Stephen saw co-workers with little willingness to consider. Yeah, time zone impacts on their colleagues. Yeah, that's a important share there. Thank you for that, Stephen. You know, these days with globalization, we often work in organizations where there are different time zones, and therefore some co-workers will take into consideration those different time zones. However, others will not think about the impact that it has on other colleagues. And, you know, we've got this time zone difference here. I imagine the most of you are Eastern Standard Time, so it's 11 a.m. there. In the UK, it's 4 p.m. Just gone 4 p.m. where I am. But that's great. You know, we can collaborate because I was aware of those different time zone differences, and it works effectively from over the big pond where you are and also where I am here. But when we start to look at maybe working in different time zones, we have got to make sure that we consider what time zone our colleagues are working in. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, Stephen. That's another great one. Okay, so just 4 red flags there to get you thinking about you and your team. And I just thought I'd share now some food for thought, some questions that I'm going to pose to you that you might want to think about with you and your team to give you an idea of whether your team is collaborating effectively. So the first question to consider is, how regularly do you experience collaboration between team members? So you don't need to answer it now. You don't need to use the chat, but if you do, feel free to do so. But just to get you thinking about you and your colleagues, how regularly do you experience collaboration between team members? You know, do you see this happening on a regular basis? Is it infrequent? Or is it not at all? You know, do you find that team members are quite reticent to collaborate with each other? So you should be able to put your experience in terms of your team on a scale from 0 to 10. So just have a think about that in terms of you and your team, because it could start to give you an idea of how effective your collaboration is. So that's the first question. The second question: do your subject matter experts freely share their expertise with the rest of the team? So we each bring some wonderful technical skills and experience with us. We will often supplement those skills. We may go on courses. We may do a course that's been suggested that we go on by our organization. We may go on a course that we want to go on from our own perspective. And it's really important that when people learn new skills and they have new knowledge, that these subject matter experts share their experience with other team members. There's some chat going on. This is Daryl. I host a team huddle weekly to promote collaboration. Most people do share regularly. That is wonderful. I love seeing that comment, Daryl. Well done. That is absolutely brilliant. Have a weekly team huddle to promote collaboration. Great. And for those of you that may not have a team huddle, a weekly team huddle, in a moment I will share with you something that you might want to consider doing. So it's a suggestion to promote collaboration, but that's brilliant that you're doing already. That's fantastic. Question 3 for you to think about: when individuals learn new skills that are valuable to the team, do they share what they have learned and how it may help the team? So again, it could be that they've learned new behavioral skills. So it may be to do with how we communicate, how we make decisions, or it could be some technical skills that they've learned. So again, just think about, do they share that information with other people in the team openly and honestly? And then question 4, when an issue arises in your team, is there lots of discussion by the team to help implement the best solution? Again, that's a good indicator of how collaborative your teamwork is. So certainly I've had the experience many years ago of working in teams where when there was an issue, there was a reticence from people to share their thoughts and share their ideas and come up with the best solution. Somebody in the chat Great, Daryl. Again, in Team Huddle, we share problems and seek if others have experienced same for resolutions. That is wonderful. Again, thank you for sharing that, Daryl. Yes, it's great. An example, I was working with a team, a leadership team recently in the UK, and there was in that team a reticence to share knowledge and skills, and it cost them, because we started to have a conversation about collaboration, and it just came up that one of the leaders in that team had a legal problem with a contract, and they had actually gone outside the organization to an attorney to try and get their knowledge and experience to work out what the problem with the contract was and how they could overcome it. It cost their organization thousands of pounds in terms of how much they had to pay the attorney for their knowledge and experience. When we were having this conversation, one of the other leaders in that team said, "That's interesting, because I've got a degree in contract law." They had never shared that information with the other team members, the other leaders on that team, and therefore it cost them a significant amount of money, because they had to go outside their organization to get a solution. So it can, on occasions, if you get issues arising and there's not a lot of discussion, it sometimes means it can cause your organizations financially. So again, another area to consider in terms of collaboration and how effectively you as a team are collaborating with others. So yes, maybe after this webinar is finished, as I said, put these on a scale from 0, it's not happening, to 10, it is. You should, based on these 4 questions, get a good sense of whether you are working, collaborating effectively with your colleagues in your team. And of course, if you aren't, if you've scored things quite low, then it gives you an opportunity the next time you have a team meeting to raise the issue and say, you know, can we have a discussion around collaboration and whether it's working as effectively as it could. And certainly do consider what Daryl shared there, having a team huddle, a weekly team huddle where you talk about collaboration, and also you talk about issues and how you can overcome them. So I hope those 4 questions may have been of value to you. Here's another suggestion, and as Daryl mentioned, he has these weekly collaboration huddles. This is a suggestion that is very, very simple, it's very effective, and it will help to enhance collaboration between individuals in your teams. So my suggestion here is that you undertake some team member presentations, and you can create a framework for these presentations so that you help people go through this process and there's some sort of structure to it. So my suggestion is that, first of all, the individual shares what their responsibilities are. And it's quite frightening the amount of teams that I work in where people actually work in the same team do not know the responsibilities that other people have within their team. So what are their responsibilities? What are their past experiences, and how does this help in their current role? So again, quite often we work with team members, but we may not know their past experience. It may be that they've worked for another organization. So great opportunity for people to share their past experience, what they've done previously. Then moving on, number 3, what are the technical skills that they utilize to complete their responsibilities? So it may be they've got a degree in computer science. It could be that they've got some technical skills. They're very good at coding. It could be that they've got an accreditation. Maybe it could be that they've got an accreditation in PowerPoint, in Word, in some of the Microsoft Office areas, or some other technical skills. So it gives people an opportunity to share the technical skills that they have and that they utilize to complete their role and their responsibilities. Again, equally important, what are the behavioral skills that they use? You know, are they introverted? You know, do they work to do they like to work in some sort of quiet space with some solitude? Are they quite gregarious? Are they outgoing? Do they like to bounce ideas off other people? Also, what's their decision-making process like? Do they like to think things through from a logical perspective, or do they like to make decisions based on relationships and the emotions of people and keeping harmony? So do get them to express what their behavioral skills are. Again, looking at your end-to-end processes, who is it that they hand over from, and who is it that they hand over to as part of any team process that is processes that you have? That is sometimes one of the biggest issues within teams, is when you hand over a process from one person to another. So in understanding who you hand over from and to can add a lot of value and also reduce risks of things going wrong. Again, moving on to risks, are there any challenges or risks that they are aware of? So what are the challenges and risks that they have in the role that they undertake? And then 7, how do they think that they may help others in the team? So again, they'll be able to say, based on my knowledge, based on my experience, based on my skills, these are the sort of things, these are the sort of areas I can help other people with. So it may not form part of their role or their responsibilities as an individual. However, it's them collaborating and being open and honest and saying, like, if anybody's stuck in a particular area, I may be able to help you. And then finally, at the end of their presentation, allow 5 minutes for any questions from other team members, any clarification. So this works on 2 levels because it provides team members with a better understanding of their colleagues' knowledge, experience, and skills that they have. So it enhances collaboration. The other thing that it does is it enables that individual to share their presentation skills and work on their presentation skills. So again, it's another learning experience for that individual. Because sometimes presenting to others, some people find it quite tricky and quite difficult. So if we give people a safe environment to be able to actually undertake that, it will enable them to learn and to develop and grow. So it works on 2 levels as an experience. Okay, there's somebody who's put something in the chat. Those handoff points, number 5, this is Beth, are critical to understanding processes, as handoff points are where defects tend to happen. Yeah, totally agree with you, Beth. That is the key, probably major area of risk, is where we have these handoff points. In the book that I've written recently, I talk about creating a chain of excellence. So if you think about the links of a chain, and the link tends to be the weakest part of the chain. So if you are going to be really effective and successful as a team, you need to create this chain of excellence, and it's those handoff points that are really, really important to get right and be really effective in. So again, thank you for sharing that with the rest of the people on the webinar, Beth. Really, really important. Okay, so coming back full circle, I hope that my presentation has given you a better understanding of the importance of collaboration, and given you some food for thought in terms of the red flag areas, the benefits of collaboration, and also food for thought in terms of you and your team, in terms of what you're doing currently. And one of the quotes that I use on a regular basis, which I think for me sums up collaboration: it enables the unachievable for one to be achieved, being achieved by the many. You know, when collaboration is working well, we share our knowledge and experience with other people, we can do many, many things. We can achieve many things that we couldn't do just by ourselves. So leave you with that one to think about. So in summary, collaboration is about sharing our knowledge and skills openly with our colleagues, so that our team, not just individuals, succeed. That's the really important thing. Collaboration is one of the top 4 of 16 areas of teamwork which support high performance. So don't forget how important collaboration is. As we explored, collaboration impacts on many areas of teamwork, but it supports transformation, doing things differently. It supports increasing trust between individuals. It helps with your planning processes, and it helps to create a positive working environment in your team. And finally, if you think collaboration is not working effectively as it could in your team, don't be afraid to speak up about it, because you'll probably find that if collaboration isn't working effectively, it's also impacting on other people in your team. And if you actually speak up and share your thoughts on collaboration, it's likely that you will get nods of heads from other people in your team. So just some summary thoughts for you there. Now there's somebody in the chat. Great material. Thanks so much for the robust, useful content. My pleasure, Beth, and thank you for your thoughts and ideas that you shared. So there's a little bit of time before we finish for any additional questions that you may have. And I just thought I'd let you know that finally, as I mentioned, as Susan mentioned at the start, in March, I published a book that's I've tried to get all my 30 years experience of working with teams into this book, which was called Team Lead Succeed. The reason I've called it Team Lead Succeed is there's a lot of books out there in the marketplace that talk about leadership. I wanted a book that included leadership, so there's a chapter on leadership, but it's predominantly about teamwork. So that's why team is at the start, because I wanted all team members to have some more knowledge and experience of teamwork. So it's called Team Lead Succeed. Absolutely delighted, as I said, that published in March, it's become a bestseller. The reviews to date have all been 5-star reviews. So there's been lots of people that have got lots of value out of it. So collaboration is one of the chapters. There's 21 chapters, 16 are dedicated to teamwork, 1 dedicated to leadership, and the other 4 chapters talk about behavioral skills and technical skills, which I touched upon. So if you've enjoyed this webinar, please do just type in Team Lead Succeed or Nick Fewings, and it should pop up in various bookstores around the world. If any of you are on LinkedIn, again, please do connect with me. I call myself a teamworkologist on there on LinkedIn, because there is another Nick Fewings. So please do connect with me, because I share lots of information about teamwork, because I love collaborating with people, which is what this is all about. So we've got some chats here. Can you both go back to the slide that your 16 grid by L14? I will do that in a moment. Great presentation, well organized and insightful. Thank you. Thank you, Mello. Thank you, Tong. And thank you, Prasanna. So let's just go back for, who was it that asked that, Teresa? Let's go back some slides. Oh, now this is interesting. Oh, here we go. It's going back now. Let's go back. I think it's that one you probably want, Teresa. Let's make sure that that is. Thank you, Daryl. And Teresa, yeah, obviously that is the slide that you're after. Good.
So Nick, we want to thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you everyone for joining us as well.
Great. Thank you very much for the opportunity.